Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the very first full-length episode of the Rising Drummer Podcast. I'm Matt Gretter.
I'm Drue Wilson. We have these beautiful SM58 mics now we're talking into.
So
See,
beautiful.
we look like more like tour guides now.
Yeah, we really do.
Now, if you look to your left, there's a DW design kit.
A mix of more or less almost the entire line of DW products. You got a DW Design, you have the DW Performance, and down below you have the mass-produced Chevrolet version, the Pacific Drums and Percussion Snare Drum.
And then this is just my umbrella. No.
Umbrella, or is it your hat?
It's my hat. It's my hat.
Your high hat on your head?
My high hat, yeah. No, these are Matt's 16-inch Sabian AAX Explosions.
Very, very thick, bright, but also with a little bit of a dark articulation to them. They sound really good, and especially in a big setting.
Yeah, but we're getting too carried on. Let's focus now.
All right. Before we get into the main topic of our very first episode, which is going to be getting your first drum kit, why don't we just do a quick little background about ourselves and kind of introduce the audience to who we are, how we got started, and just a quick little sum up of how this came to be.
Okay.
So first off, I got into drumming when I was 10 years old. I first, on the radio, I never really thought much of it, but I heard a song called Fly By Night by Rush come on 107.7 The Bone here, which is the local rock station in the Bay Area. And I was just hooked on that song. I couldn't get it out of my head. And finally, my dad took me down to Tower Records, and I bought the Rush Greatest Hits 74 to 87 CD. This is when they had CDs back in the day before iPods.
Yeah.
And I had that song on repeat for literally 3 months and never got bored. And then finally after that, something possessed me to open up the pamphlet inside the CD. And right in the middle, there was the band photo. You have Geddy Lee with his bass stage left and Alex with his guitar stage right. And right in the middle, God rest his soul, Neil Peart was right there behind the drum kit. And it was no more than a second later, I was like, this is what I want to do. And ever since then, it's led to going through the school programs, jazz band, which for me, the only reason why I joined the jazz band was to play a drum kit, to be honest. But then started my own little projects with friends from school, and eventually got to the point where I started putting my own YouTube channel together, which is titled Matt Gretter, and it has approximately, I think, 170 some odd videos on it right now. Go ahead and check it out on YouTube, Matt Gretter. And that led to being in my first rock band, which was called All Roads for a couple of years, put out a couple of albums, and actually on Academia, that band won Best Hard Rock Song for the month of July of 2017, which was quite a huge honor. I actually have the plaque in the cabinet behind me right there. And then after that, I really started getting into country music, especially after I discovered Jason Aldean when my cousin took me to my first country concert, which was Jason Aldean, 2011, My Kind of Party Tour. But I never really thought of being in a country band until after the rock band project I had with All Roads in 2017, and been to Nashville for Rich Redmond's Drummers Weekend for his camps out there, developing that kind of a relationship, and that actually got to the point where I was actually able to be on the stage of the Shoreline Amphitheater, which is where I saw my very first Rush concert or rock concert in general. And it was like a full circle moment that was very, very surreal. And it's been just a ride ever since. And in a nutshell, that's how I got into it. How about you, Drue?
Well, kind of similar. I started playing drums in middle school. We had what was an elective called percussion class.
Percussion class?
Yeah. No, it wasn't just drum set. They had congas, tambourines, cowbells. But then there was a drum set, and I went to there. And then the following year, they had the following semester, they had another elective called rock band. Sorry, the garbage truck is going right by your house right now, but they can still hear us. It's fine. This is total,
This is bare bones.
Yeah, bare bones.
Our first go around at it, so we don't know what we're doing. So,
yeah. You're on the journey with us together. We're all on the journey.
Yes, we are.
That's what drumming's about, is taking people on the journey.
That's right.
But back to your point, I joined that elective rock band. Then my dad gave me he didn't give me, but he borrowed his copy of Led Zeppelin 2.
Oh yeah,
and
that's a great album.
When I heard John Bonham, it was all over, man. That foot, those Bonham triplets. Well, I can't do it with one hand, but
yeah,
you get the point.
Right.
And then from there on, I'm not gonna say it. Well, I guess I could intro it because we're talking about your first drum set.
Yeah, we are.
My parents bought me my first drum set, which I still have today, and I still do use from time to time. This red sparkle wrap. It was like a no-name brand. It was called Summit Drum Company, but they found it on eBay. And I remember I just couldn't believe it. I remember it was during Christmas I got it, and it was just 2 big boxes sitting there. And I remember I was mad. I'm like, why do I only get 2 presents? Everyone else gets more. And then I unwrapped it. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Well, this is why you're getting only
It's
2 presents.
It's a drum set. Now, granted, that's when I was younger. I didn't know how to tune. It had poopy cymbals, like the cheap brass cymbals. But you know what? It got me through the years of learning. I did a lot of my first gigging on it. It got scratched up pretty bad because I didn't have cases yet for them. But I'm still glad I still have it. I have to rebuild the snare drum. I still have the shell for it, but the metal shell. But yeah, I mean, everyone's like, oh, get an electronic kit for your... I mean, that's always the whole big deal. Like, what kit do you get as your first kit?
Yeah.
Everybody wants to get this as their first kit. Oh, I want a DW design or PDP, but it's all in your budget. But it's also like, for me, I actually started playing on a practice pad and with pencils and then pots and pans and jerry rigging kits or air drumming.
Yeah, I kind of did the same thing where it was pots and pans in the kitchen, and of course you get busted by your parents and they're yelling at you, "Why are you using our pots?"
Or "Why are you busting up my furniture?" Or all the pencils are all torn apart. And
yeah, but my first drum kit was from a brand that I didn't even know existed. It was probably another brand that was focused on another type of product, but then they just decided to make a drum kit. It was called Verve Percussion. It was just a basic 5-piece kit, and just like you, the first kit sounded like poo, but it got me through all those years of learning, and actually was able to, like, how I learned how to play was I did it by ear, just playing along to my favorite songs and just trying to mimic what I heard, and having that kit there, even though it didn't sound very good, it allowed me to practically apply what I was hearing and be able to translate that through my hands and feet, which is what a drummer is using, all 4 limbs at once.
But like, I mean, I gotta say though, if you take good care of your first kit, you maintain it, you put new heads on, maybe you change the cymbals, you can make it sound decent and get through it. I mean, I've seen a lot of people that are still just playing Pro exports and they sound terrific.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to, or did not have the knowledge to really maintain a kit or expand on it, because that kit I only get. My mom actually picked up from a family friend who just had it as, kind of like a teenage status type thing, I think, and she gave the kit to me for literally only $20, which the drums, hardware, and cheap brass cymbals and all that stuff. But and at that time, I didn't have the knowledge to really maintain or build upon it to make it better. But after that, I started investing in kits that were made by like true drum manufacturers that really started sounding better. And also at that time too, and this is something that you accumulate over time, is the knowledge of different head choice as well as tuning, which even to this day I'm still trying to perfect. This guy's an absolute expert. He can do it by ear, but I need a tune bot for help.
Yeah, we'll get that in a different episode.
Yeah, that's another episode. Tuning. But in general, though, really for those who are really looking to getting into drumming for the first time, they caught the bug and you're really looking for your first drum kit. Like we pointed out earlier, of course, we would like to go for the very beautiful lacquer finish and or wrap finish or sparkle finish, and easily want to go for a drum kit that has a $2,000 plus price tag on it because we think it's going to sound better. And maybe it will, maybe it won't, but it really when you're first starting out, price should not be the reason why you go for this certain kit or not.
Like I said, if you can't make an export or a made in China kit sound good, then just because this is a good kit, if you can't tune it and maintain it, it's not going to help you at all.
Yeah, exactly. That's a principle that
the gear doesn't make the drummer the drummer. The drummer makes the drummer the drummer.
Exactly. But again, like
yes, the gear is part of your sound, but also a lot of the sound comes from, like we said, your tuning, but comes from your touch, your technique. Because like me and Matt, we could both hit rim shots, and we both are loud rim shot hitters. But if we both hit one single, it's gonna be different. Yeah,
absolutely. And but getting back to the point of what you would be looking for in your very first drum kit that you're buying, I would say, just going by at least what I have seen when it came to that Verve percussion kit, not taking price into account, because really for the young kids who are just starting.
It's also different now than when we first started.
Well, that's true.
Because there's YouTube now, so you can learn how to tune. There's not a lot of shops anymore to shop out. But you got like Craigslist, or you got Reverb, even at Sweetwater where they have demo kits. You can get pretty good kits for price. But like, you have to think like, I mean, now we're kind of talking to the parents. Like, it's a big investment, and yeah, I know it's loud noise and stuff. But if your kid shows a passion for it, I mean, it's better than them sitting down playing video games all day or being in the street doing something bad. Or
yeah, because believe it or not, though, this is actually, I can't remember the name of it, but there was a study that was conducted amongst students over the course of, I want to say, probably thousands of schools, and they said that the results came to the point that kids who were involved in either a registered music program with the school or were involved in some form or another of music, whether it be outside school or inside school, their academic performance was actually much better.
Yeah.
So music is very, very important.
It's healthy for the brain. It's healthy for the heart. And also with drumming, it's everyone goes like and be like, well, why'd you exercise in school? Have you seen how I play drums? You're using all your limbs. But that's getting off topic. But to go back, I mean, everyone goes and gets like the 5-piece kit, but you can get like a simple 4-piece. You can piece together a kit. Yeah. Now the shell pack. So when we're talking about a shell pack, like let's just say for instance, so a shell pack, like Matt, how much was the shell pack just for the Frequent Flyer?
Frequent Flyer, which is the design series of design. The shell pack was the
DW design, which is the lower end, which is the next step from the PDP.
Yeah. So this Frequent Flyer shell pack, which is a 20 by 12 kick, 14 by 5 snare, a 12 by 9 rack, and a 14 by 11 floor tom, which is a 4-piece. At the time that I bought this kit, which was probably, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 years ago, that price tag at that time was about $1,200.
Yeah. It's probably gone up now.
Oh, it has gone up big time.
But when we're talking about shell pack, that means it's just literally the heads, the hardware, and the shells. No cymbals, no hardware. Maybe just the tom mount and the floor tom legs, but that's pretty much it. No kick drum pedal, no cymbal stands, no throne, no snare stand. So that's what also you gotta look at, like, what's your budget? That's why a lot of those budget friendly, like no name kits, or even from like I think PDP has the center stage, which is like their really cheap kit, but they come like I think they come with Zildjian Plus, or they come with cheap like brass cymbals.
Yeah, but
and they don't sound good. But you know what? your kid or you as a drummer, you're gonna learn your sound as you progress. When you're young, you're not gonna care about it. You're just gonna want to bang around practice because you're gonna just be so happy that you have a drum set.
And the fact that
what's cool is you're gonna meet friends in school and be like, "Hey, I got a drum set. Let's start a band." And then,
yeah, it doesn't matter what kit you have when you first start out. Of course, taking budget into account, what fits best for you, and generally what sound you're going for, because different manufacturers have different processes of making the shell construction, which does play a part in the overall sound of the kit that you want to go for. Mm-hmm. But generally, though, whatever kit you're able to fit into your budget, it's really for it being your very first kit. It's really meant for learning your craft, getting your mechanics down, and becoming at least competent enough on the instrument to the point where you can start interacting and performing with other musicians on any kind of level.
Yeah, I would say this, and I think you agree with me. When you find out your kid has an interest in drumming, or you're interested in drumming and think about getting a kit, I wouldn't go out and get a drum kit right away.
No.
Maybe a practice pad.
Yeah, because what my parents did when I said that when I first got into the drums, I wanted to be in the middle school band there. They didn't have a program that had a drum set, but they did have the beginning like concert band stuff. And so the very first pieces of equipment that my parents got me was a practice pad to practice at home, and they also got me a cheap metal pearl snare drum that was going to be used in the band as well.
I wish you still had that.
Yeah, I wish I did, but don't. Sorry.
Yeah. But I mean, those beginner kits, like with the whole pack, if that's all you can afford, you can make it work. So if you want to go down the route of getting a kit, but you don't want to get super cheap, that's why I would start looking for used kits.
Use kits on Craigslist or
Facebook Market, Reverb. Look at Sweetwater's demo page.
Yeah, or any refurbished products that there may have, just for the sake of getting your foot in the door, or like Drew said earlier, not only can you look at used kits that have all the stuff, but let's say if you're not in a rush to learn and you're wanting to slowly build a set, you can actually piece it together one bit at a time. So, okay, you save up a little bit of money for one piece. Let's say you're going to start with a snare drum, and you save up for, let's say, this PDP, which is an average of about $150 to $170. You save up that amount, and then you purchase that snare drum. Yep. Then you can set that away for now, then save up money for the next piece of the kit, which would be either a rack tom, or you want to focus on a stand for for that snare. You can choose any piece of the kit that you want as long as you are slowly building it to a complete set.
I'll say this, and you might disagree or agree with me. Okay, kits with stock heads, if you know how to tune and muffle, you can make it sound good. But the cheap brass cymbals, you can't make those sound good. So I recommend, if you already got your kit, but you're like, okay, what do I upgrade next? Look at cymbals.
Yeah. Definitely. If you can, the next investment, like he said, would be to invest in cymbals, because I cannot pronounce his last name, but Cobus.
Yeah. Cobus Pridinger, or what?
We know what he looks like. He's on Drumeo a lot.
Yeah.
He said that he had a used kit when he was just first starting out, but then even just changing his set of hi-hats to a slightly better pair, so he upgraded those. To him, it just changed the sound of the entire kit just by that one set of hi-hats being changed. So really, you get your shell pack, and even though you may be wanting to upgrade to a more expensive shell pack in the future, but the first thing, you definitely would upgrade your cymbals as soon as you get a chance, because that's going to drastically improve even that first shell pack that you have.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when I got my first zilch and crash cymbal, I was like, this is it. Because I had been playing on years on the cheap brass cymbals.
Yeah. What was the brand of those cheap brass ones, if you remember?
It was just the same company. It just said Summit Drum Company on them.
Oh, okay.
It was like a 14-inch hats, and then like a cheap 16-inch crash. The hole didn't really fit on the cymbal stand.
But I remember.
But those cheap cymbals are great if you want to make stacks.
Yes, they are. So
That's the secret.
There is a purpose for them.
Yeah,
but by themselves,
keep them.
Yeah, they could be useful though.
Like when I was younger, I used to mess with the bottom hi-hat, flip it upside down, put it on the stand, and pretend it was a China cymbal because it was trashy.
What was the first cymbal that you upgraded?
Like I said, I got a Zildjian. I still have it. It's sadly cracked around the bell a little bit, but it hasn't moved. I don't play it very much. It was a Zildjian. My parents bought it for me. It was a Zildjian A, not the older A, but I think it was like 80s or maybe 80s or 90s. A thin crash, 16-inch.
Cool. My first cymbal that I got, it was, even though this is one of the more cheaper sounding cymbals, but it was an upgrade from the trash cymbals that came with that Verve percussion kit in the first place. Was at the time they had this model. It was the Sabian B8.
Yeah, they still make them too.
I think they're B8Xs now.
I hate to say it, I'd rather play a B8 than a brass cymbal.
Yeah, I agree with that.
It doesn't have anything. It just sounds like you put a towel over it or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the next cymbal I got after that was I got a 20-inch Zildjian Rock Ride, all used. And then I got my first pair of Zildjian hi-hats, 14-inch ZBT, and I'm like, I'm set. And then I'm like, you know what? I need to get another crash cymbal. No, after I got the hi-hats, then I got let's see. Was it after I got the hi-hats? I think it was after I got my hi-hats, I got a Sabian B8 10-inch Splash. Because I was like, I saw Buddy Rich. I'm like, well, he has that cool cymbal in the middle of his kit. Maybe if I have it, people think I'm cool and everything. But talking about cymbals, all you really need is hi-hat, crash, ride.
That is the base cymbal set for any drum kit.
Maybe 2 crashes.
Yeah, but generally, though, that is the basic cymbal setup or the core setup cymbal that any drum kit needs. Hi-hat, ride, 1 crash, maybe 2.
Yeah. And I say 2 because maybe like you get a 16 and an 18 or a 16, 17. I can't play that stuff. It's too small for me now. But because a lot of the Zildjian packs, and I think even Sabian, like when you get up to I think it's around like the 600 and up range, you get a free crash cymbal usually with it. So you get an extra crash cymbal.
Yeah.
But for splashers and Chinas, those are more effect cymbals. You don't always need them all the time. So I would highly recommend just get a good pair of hi-hats, get a good crash, get a good ride cymbal. They don't even have to be new. You can buy used. I buy a lot of used gear.
Yeah.
I used to buy a lot of used gear.
Yeah. I usually went for the new stuff just because I could trust the brand new quality coming out.
Yeah.
After I started to experiment with other brands, after I did the Sabian B8, I tried a Zildjian A Custom 17-inch fast crash there. And it's featured on several of my YouTube videos, but I listen back to that thing now, and it just sounds like a little splash compared to what...
I think you cracked that, didn't you?
I think I did.
Yeah.
And then after that, I did a whole Peisty 2002 setup, and because I was heavily fixed on these guys on my shirt right here, AC/DC.
Yeah.
And to this day, I still pretty much am because I love the pocket of how Phil Rudd plays and the power of their music and everything, which is really cool. But after a while, particularly hitting the crash cymbals, they do have a good sound, and it's nothing against Pisces' signature sound or anything like that. But just for my personal touch, every time that I would hit those crash cymbals, because they're a pretty thick cymbal, it was like you're hitting a brick wall every time you hit it.
Yeah. I mean, cymbals are very, very personal.
Yes. So what we're saying about our experiences with cymbals may very well be different for you.
It's all about how you like I love Zildjian. I've been played Zildjian my whole life. I'm not gonna play anything. There's some Sabians might have. I go, yeah, it's a nice sound, but I'm Zildjian.
And I'm a Sabian guy.
Yeah.
There's
nothing wrong with it. That's why there's choices.
Exactly.
Can you imagine what music would sound like if there was only one brand of cymbal, one company?
Or one drum shell manufacturer, or one brand of anything. It would just sound so boring and the same.
Mm-hmm.
There would more or less only be one, maybe two genres of music, and then that's it.
Yeah, but we got to remember it's not the gear, it's the drummer.
Yes, and
this is all stuff you can upgrade throughout your career. As you're expanding.
And talking about the drummer and how that plays the most significant role in how that brings out the best in the kit. That'll be another episode that we can talk about. But
like when I was younger and I got my first Zildjian, I'm like, I'm set. I didn't think I was gonna have like 6 bags of Zildjian cymbals at home like I have now.
Which I've seen.
Matt's seen all my Zildjians. He goes, "You have more cymbals than I do." Like,
I have only 2 bags. I have one bag of Sabian AAX explosions and another one of Sabian HHX complexes, and that's all I have. And yeah, he's got 3 times the amount I got.
Yes, but I use them all.
Yeah, and
they're all different sounds. Most of them are all the same sizes because that's what I play. But
yeah, and what we were just talking about there about our personal arsenals of cymbals and personal taste and things like that has come from years and years of
practice, training our ear,
and also
technique,
and also combining all the gear that you and I have, which includes all the kits that we both individually have, all the cymbals and hardware. Easily between the two of us, we probably have, I'd say, at least $20,000 worth of gear.
You're not going to go to your parents or your wife.
No, and that's
or charge down your credit card.
No, that's something that is saved up for over time, and it takes many years to accumulate that amount of gear, but still be able to actually live comfortably.
Yeah. And it's we're both professional drummers. Those are our tools. And if we need them, we have them.
Yeah.
But when we were younger, we never even thought about that. We just thought, I have a drum set. I can play as loud as possible and play whenever I want and make YouTube videos or be in a garage band and maybe play at our local fair or a church.
And then over time...
Actually, church is the only... When I was younger, church was the only place I played really good cymbals. They had Zildjians there. What was the first drum set you played that had decent cymbals? Was it the school?
I was... as far actual drum set that had good cymbals, it was the school drum set. I want to say that was a... I remember it was a black kit. I think it was a pearl.
Yep.
A 4-piece.
Probably like an export or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember the badge on it because I graduated from high school in 2010. So it's been a while for me to remember that kit exactly. But going back to what you were saying, talking about how we were professionals and over time we've been able to accumulate the amount of gear that we have. When you're starting out with your very first kit, you're not really looking to, you can upgrade what you have, but you're not really looking to expand so much what you have. You'll upgrade, but not really expand. But once you are getting better on the drums and you find yourself in a situation where there's more possibilities coming up, that's when the mentality starts to shift a little bit, where it becomes more of, okay, I just want to make myself sound better, but then it becomes a part of what starts to come into your mind is that you start thinking about the music that you're going to be playing, which influences either the gear that you upgrade or the gear that you expand your arsenal with.
Yeah.
So all of that plays a a big part in over time accumulating the amount of gear to the point that to the amount of gear that both of us have, or I can't imagine that.
Don't buy gear. I hate to say it, but I think really cool big double bass kits are cool, but if you have like these thousands of cymbals, like 20 cymbals up there, but you don't play them all, they're just there to look at, I don't see the point of it.
Like
if you listen to Ringo Starr or John Bonham or all the old drummers, they had hi-hat, crash,
Charlie Watts,
and ride. John Bonham usually had 2 crashes, maybe 3 crashes, and a gong. But if you can't keep a beat or keep a gig with just crash, hi-hat, and ride, you're like, oh, I can't do this. I gotta get a second crash, or I need a China. It's like we're saying, it's not about the gear.
It's about the music, and it's about the drummer
and your technique.
Yes.
Yes, the gear is important, and it's part of the sound. But I'm not gonna bellyache if I go to a backline kit and go, oh, there's no second crash. I can't play. Where's my second crash cymbal? No.
That's where the professionalism comes into play. Is there are times where you'll be playing a show and you don't have your own kit to bring. The venue offers a backline kit, and when that happens, you're forced with what you have available.
Yeah, maybe you'll do an episode like when you're gonna play at church and play the church kit and what you bring and stuff.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Because you and me, we both share that kit at church. So
yeah. And just a quick little thing, when it comes to particularly the churches that we play, both of us can obviously tell who was last playing that drum kit.
Yeah,
because this is another topic for another episode too. When actually setting up your drum kit, this episode is about buying your first drum kit and what you can expect, but setting up will be another episode. But just really quickly. I like particularly my floor toms. They have a little bit of an angle to them, but more or less kind of flat or a very shallow angle like that. Drue's likes them like this.
Well, I sit low and my snare's like not that tilted.
That's what Rich said.
It's up a little bit now.
Yeah,
not so tilted.
But the snare though.
The snare's up a little bit more now. It's still tilted, but it's not like this.
But I can't crack rim shots comfortably on that angle though.
But it's like you said, it's your craft. That's how I set up.
Yeah.
Like that's another thing we'll have to talk about is setup.
Yes.
Like my setup when I was in high school and middle school was a lot different than it is now.
Yeah, same with me. Very much so. Everything that I had in my very beginning was set up very high because I was very into Neil Peart's drum kit, and like his snare drum was all the way up to like midway through his stomach.
Yeah,
and Tom's were.
I would like to see you try to play like that now. You would be like, "What the heck is going on here?"
I'll try it again, but chances are I won't like it.
Yeah,
but again, that's for another episode.
Yeah.
So, any other topics that we didn't address here?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I guess we could talk a little bit about it because I've had some experience. I don't know about you. What about electric kits? I can't stand them.
That's another question, or thing that we can talk about too. Electronic drum kits, they do have their place, and they always will.
I get if you can't have an acoustic kit and you need a drum kit. That's one thing.
Yeah. So if your living situation is you're
in an apartment or
if you're in an apartment or if you have a home and the neighbors are not very friendly and they'll call the cops on you every single time that you hit anything, that's where an electronic drum kit is useful. But the one thing
But what's funny about electronic kits is they cost more than acoustic kits sometimes.
Yeah, a lot of times, pretty much. Well, especially when you get into
the big foofy ones, like the new Roland ones that, it's a real kick drum shell and blah blah blah.
Yeah, but at its core, though, in a living situation like that, where either impatient neighbors or you're in an apartment and you don't want to disturb your neighbors right across the wall from there. That's where an electronic kit is useful, and you plug in with your headphones, and you can hear drum sounds, but everybody else won't hear a thing. That's something that it's useful for. But one thing to really keep in mind about electronic kits too is that they have evolved over the years to the point where depending on what I think it's really reflected on the brain, the brain and the price of the sampling of them. To where, let's say, let's take $1,000 as our threshold as your budget. Yeah, as your budget.
You can get a rolling kit for around there.
Yeah, there are some kits that are below that threshold that are pretty darn good. The one thing in an electronic kit, if I am going to use one, the one thing that I really appreciate or really look for is the amount of dynamics.
Well, that too, but I look at the head type, like is it a mesh or hard plastic? Is it a real hi-hat or is it just the pedal? Same thing with the kick drum. Are you actually hitting a pad or is it just the pedal?
Yeah. Those are different designs too. But I'm just talking.
But the one thing, and I gotta say it, I can't stand the stock sounds. Like, you might hit the drum by itself and go, yeah, that sounds like a snare drum. But then when you put it all together and do a fill, you're like, no, that sounds so electronic, not acoustic at all. Yeah. That's why now. Like our buddy Rich Redmond, he has a sample pack you can load into your brain and get his drum set sound. There's tons of samples out there.
Not a paid advertisement, but Rich Redmond samples at NashvilleSamplingCo.com.
They sound good. Yeah. He recorded 3 kits. I think he said in the video he recorded the hi-hat 105 times.
For example, one time just barely tapping the bell or tapping the bow, and almost every dynamic level you can even think of just on one instrument. Yeah, and probably the same exact thing for everything else too.
But I always tell people if you can get an acoustic kit, it's better because most situations you can have an acoustic kit. I mean, there's nothing wrong with electric kits at a live show. It's just it looks weird.
It looks a little weird
because if the power goes out, your sound's gone.
Yeah, and one thing which is I think is a common reason why we love acoustic kits is because not only is there more character in the real world material, which is the real wood and the plastic and real metal, but from the drummer's perspective, which we'll cover in another episode, which we highlighted earlier, with the thing about the drummer and how to bring out the best sound. An acoustic kit, it demands more out of us.
Yeah.
Because
you feel it.
And the electronic kit, the sounds are all there, and you just pretty much have to hit it.
Yeah.
If you want to create a certain sound out of an acoustic drum, it comes from in here. It doesn't come from there.
Yeah.
That is, if you don't hit it, it's just an inanimate object. It doesn't make a sound. But the certain sound that you want it to make, it comes from in here first, which demands more out of the drummer.
Yeah.
And they just sound a lot more powerful.
Yeah. Where if you hit an electronic kit and it's not set the same, it's just going to sound the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think that's it for the first episode. We kind of rambled on a little bit too long, but
yeah, but generally though, we going back just a quick recap. Depending on what your budget is, if you have money saved up and you can afford a slightly more expensive kit like these drums here,
let's say what, 1,000 to 12 to like 2,000.
You can get very good kits at that price range too. But even if your budget is lower than that, there are still some pretty good kits out there for
or Yamaha Stage Custom.
Yeah, there are some pretty good kits
Mapex
at that.
Mapex has some stuff.
Yeah, at that price range, there are some good kits. But even if you're just able to get a used knockoff brand drum kit with the cheap brass cymbals off of Craigslist or whatever,
you know what? Who's gonna care?
Yeah,
the only one that's gonna care is you because it's your thing.
And that ties into what I was gonna say too. It doesn't matter if you have one like these or the cheap knockoff with brass cymbals off of Craigslist. The important thing is that it's your first drum kit and you are going to be using it to perfect your craft. It doesn't matter what the brand is. It doesn't matter what heads are on it at first. You can experiment with head choice after a while, but at first you're just using it to perfect your craft, which is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And like I said, doesn't matter if it's one of these or a knockoff. They're going to be used for the same purpose, which is perfecting your craft and being able to improve and get yourself into positions to where you can get out of the basement.
I mean, even if it's just a practice pad, it's somewhere to start.
Exactly. Yeah, that pretty much covers it for the very first episode of the Rising Drummer podcast, which was buying your first drum kit.
Yep.
We really appreciate you guys tagging along with us.
What's the second episode going to be on?
Well, we talked about buying your first drum kit.
Should we do tuning next?
No. I think I think what we should do next is, because you bought your kit, but what happens if you set them up, but it's not to what is going to make them play most effectively?
Wait, are you buying a cheap kit so we can unbox a kit and show them how to put one together from scratch?
I wish I was, but no, I don't have the funds for that.
So we're just going to take one of these apart from scratch?
Well, I don't know if we'll be able to show everything, but we can definitely at least talk about generally what a...
we could do one drum from scratch. Like, this is how it would come out of the box. Usually, like, in shell packs, the rack toms come put together in the snare, but the floor tom and kick drum or bass drum, however you want to call it, are not put together.
Well, that's more about just the personal packaging that the brand decides to ship them in the box with.
Yeah. But a lot of beginner kits are shipped that way. They're not put together when you unbox them.
Right, but I don't think there's a need to do any unboxing of anything.
Not unboxing. I'm saying, but showing how to put the drum together after you unbox it before you set it up. Yeah.
Well, however, though, this is going by my own personal experience. When I got that Verve kit, it was not torn apart. It was all assembled.
Mine was all one box.
So that's all packaging and stuff. But what we will try to do in the next episode,
maybe we'll do it in the tuning one. We'll have a drum totally taken apart, no bomb heads, no top heads.
Yeah,
just a shell.
We'll do that. But the very next episode we're going to be doing is setting up your drum kit.
Yep.
And yeah, we know generally what a kit looks like and all that, but it's more about setting it to your personal specifications, which is what we are going to cover in episode 2, setting up a drum kit.
Yep.
All right. We thank you so much for tuning along with us for our very first episode. We really appreciate it. And I'm not exactly sure when we are going to be filming / posting the next episode, but we will hopefully be able to do that once every couple weeks or so, whenever we're free to do so. We got busy schedules, so we're going to do these as often as we can, and we really appreciate you guys coming along, and we're looking forward to seeing you next time. On YouTube, we're going to be putting out a new channel, which is going to be the Rising Drummer podcast on YouTube. And also remember to check out my YouTube channel, Matt Gretter, and hit that subscribe button. And you have your own YouTube channel too, right?
I have not right at the moment. I have to redo it. So
okay, but either way, what's your channel going to be called?
I don't have one yet.
But do you know what it's going to be called?
No.
Okay.
We hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button.
Punch that subscribe button.
Punch that subscribe button. Make a comment. Share all over the world. We will take comments if you enjoy it. Maybe ideas if you guys have stuff you want us to talk about. Or maybe if you want to come join us on the podcast.
We would really love that.
Yeah. Or maybe think about trying to get some sponsors maybe too.
We'll do what we can.
Yep. All right. This is Drue Wilson signing off.
And this is Matt Gretter signing off. Till next time.
Bye-bye.
See ya.